Welcome to my channel, Northwest Elite Spirit. I'm Coach Brian, and if you've watched our last two videos, Walking in a Warrior's Garden, you can see that we are working on martial arts footwork translated into everyday life and also translated into martial arts. And so today, I've just been kind of geeking out on the things that I see might be possible within some of these stances and some of these footwork, and then also mixing them up. So I decided here today that I would practice and put together a little video. Right away I'm demonstrating some of these postures have angles that cover all the angles, front, back, and side to side. So this is bow and arrow stance, front, back, side to side. You have all your angles covered. Stability, northwest, east, and south. Horse stance, same thing. You're covered, all angles, well balanced at all angles. And how those wide stances and different and short stances can be used to your benefit at all angles. Then I think next here we go into scissor squat stance. Yeah, and again it's the same. Scissor squat covers all the angles. With practice, of course, these things are, it's just like anything else. You got to build your foundation, and then you find you get stronger and stronger in that. So here, I wanted to demonstrate to people how, you might use this in your household. Of course, in your household, you're not going to be dancing around a chair, but in a way you will be. You'll be moving around your house, or you'll be moving around someone else's house, or you'll be moving around, say, the post office, or the grocery store, or Disneyland, who knows. And you will be able to get around in tight spaces. And you can actually take this practice here out into the real world. I used the example of post office because I was at the post office the other day, and our post office gets very crowded at a certain time of day, which I try to avoid that time of day, but that's when I was there. So I went in. It was very crowded. I had people in front of me, people behind me, and people to my left, and then a stream coming from your right, because that's where people can just go straight through to drop their mail. And she was coming through, and I did one of these things, and I slipped into this little hole tucked away in the crowd. And when she passed through, I tucked right back into my spot, nice and smooth, practicing these things. And that was intentional. But, after a while, it becomes unintentional. It just becomes part of what you do when you're out in the world, and you don't have to think about it. But it is fun to go out there and think about it. And you can see how I'm switching and levels and twisting and turning. You do get a burner from this workout. This isn't supposed to be a workout day, but I don't know, if I could do this on some of my non-workout days, just kind of dance around and figure things out, play around, that would be great. And if I still have energy after doing this, I'll keep doing it. Just fun to break out and dance in the middle of the day sometimes. Now you see me sometimes there pausing too. Sometimes I'll be in the middle of a movement and have an idea, and I'll have to stop. Sometimes I'll have to stop and think of it, and then I'll work on it a little bit afterwards. Yeah, see there, you can kind of see the same thing. There's a little hesitation, and you can see me thinking. And it's funny too, after you've done that, a lot of times you have to readjust. Your balance is off for a second. And I'm not good at working in the L's yet, or even the crescents. Well, no, I'm good at the crescents, but the L's I miss a lot of. And when I say crescents and L's, you'll have to go back to your first video, Walking in a Warrior's Garden, and learn the terminology for what I'm talking about. There was an L right there. So I start thinking about things when you forget. You're like, oh, I haven't been working my L's, and you try to work them in. And eventually, they will become instinct, and you won't have to think about them. Yeah, lots of crescents in there. There's an L. And then mixing it all up. So that's what I'm really like getting towards, is to like, I can throw an L or a crescent or a scissor squat or a bow and arrow or a cat stance and really dance around in those things. And like also through the transitions. So those are all stances, but dance around into those positions from different movements and be strong and balanced when I do it. That's the idea. Leaning over a little too far right there. I got tired, and that's why we cut the clip. Like I said, these things are burners, so like I didn't expect to get so burnt. But I wanted to share this, and we go another round. And actually, these got recorded backwards, they got recorded backwards. The first one's last, and the last one's first. But after stopping to look at it, I like the idea, so that's what I'm going with here. And the idea too, like if you're practicing for fighting, you should always have your hands up. This isn't necessarily for fighting, but since I'm a martial artist, I think about that. So when I do these movements, I have my hands up, I have my protection up, and I try to remember it at all times. Balance is real important too in fighting, and just moving around your house, of course. Here I'm like, there you get, like I'm talking about, okay, how am I gonna mix in this boxing stuff with the kung fu stuff, with the judo stuff? So right there is like you throw the jab or the drop jab, whatever you want to call it, where you put that front foot forward first to drop the jab, and you can do that and then drop into scissor squat. And so that's what I'm working on there. And you can do that if you're stepping in different directions too. So it's not just forward, like if you're doing maybe you'll see it a little bit here. There it is, the back step. Here's me thinking, back step, forward step, forward step. Still working on that drag up from bow and arrow. When you bring that hanging leg out, there we go, a little smoother that time. Still working on that. So I'm approaching this as a student. Don't take me as an expert on anything. I'm just like you guys. I'm just out here in the world practicing, geeking out on something I love. If these things don't work for you, say it. I would wait to see, try it for about 2 months. See if the little things work. See if you can get better than me at doing it. If you think something can't be done from a position, test it first and test it diligently. And then comment below. So, I'm a big fan of Jackie Chan movies, and I was on my run. I was making these connections to, I think it's Fearless Hyena, where Jackie Chan, he's dancing around in scissor squat, like in a way that I'm like, what the heck? How's he doing that? So he gets low, of course, and so I'm trying to figure out how to dance around low, but also he's got to come from high to low and low to high, and be able to transition between those smoothly. So I'm like trying some like corkscrew action. But he also like jumps around in there too, which is, I'm sure it can be done because he's doing it. It's just a matter of figuring out how he does it. But yeah, these little corkscrews and stuff inspired by Fearless Hyena. If you haven't seen it, it's one of my favorite martial arts movies. My very favorite Jackie Chan movie. Came out in like the 70s or something like that. Yeah, just trying to mix it up and like get from one position to another smoothly, but not just smoothly, but safely. I'm not trying to hammer through all these. You can't hear it because of copyright stuff, but I have some music for the void flowing in the background. That's what the playlist is called, Music for the Void, because I just want to kind of zone out, let everything go, just, try the movements. Um, no nervousness, drop the nervousness from being on camera, just testing how these things feel and how they work and how I can make them work. And then also at the same time, I do want to share them with other people for them to try. And I think martial arts can bring a lot of health and balance to your life if you approach it in a way that allows for it. I think there I'm probably like talking out an idea. Oh, I know what it was. Like I had an idea. I was gonna try something, and I couldn't remember how I even got to the idea. Like I found myself in a position where it's like, oh, it'd be really cool to try this there, but then I couldn't even remember how I got into that sequence. I guess that's the benefit of recording, is like you can see a crazy sequence that you've done that looked really smooth and unique, and you can record it and make it yours. And practice over and over again. Drill it and make it yours. Yeah, there's me thinking about like, because he does a whole bunch of these in some sequences, and it's like while bouncing around and like blocking kicks and punches and karate chops while dancing around in scissor stance or scissor squat.